Hi, I'm Sunday Berquist. Thanks so much for stopping by. I'm so glad you're here because I have some important things I want to share with you guys this month. One of them is going to start with a phone call that I received on April 11th of 2012. That was the day that my tug of war began. I don't know about you, but if you ever went to camp growing up as a kid, you probably played tug of war. I went and then I got to run a camp for over 10 years of 350 teenagers, and one of the highlights for these students every year was the tug of war competition. So when I was thinking about tug of war, I really thought about it in terms of my life. I thought about the fact that I was on one end of that rope and that my setbacks were on the other end of that rope. And in the middle there was a flag, and that flag said control. When there's a setback that hits your life, there's a certain amount of control that is taken away from you. That happened to me on April 11th, the day I received a phone call from a very sweet nurse that said, "I'm so sorry to call you with these test results, but I have to tell you, you have invasive ductal carcinoma." And I'm sitting there thinking, what? And she says, do you understand I'm telling you you have breast cancer? And I said, yes. And she said, would you like to spell it? I said, no, I don't want to spell it. I got it. No, honey. Are you sure you understand? You have breast cancer. Yes, I understand. Thank you. I'm sure she thought I was in complete denial. But I can tell you that at that moment, all the control that I felt like I had over my life was completely yanked away from me. If you think about it like tug of war, I was face down in the mud. And at that point, I had a decision to make. How long was I gonna allow cancer to control my life? How long was I gonna allow this setback to be what was defining me? And I decided I wasn't gonna allow that. What I had to do was I had to first stand up. When you're in a tug of war, obviously you can't pull the rope if you're laying on the ground, right? I had to stand up. And all that was a decision that I'm not gonna allow cancer to control my life. The next thing I had to do was I had to grab that rope and get ready. I had to be prepared to pull that setback my direction and take control back over my life. Do you know where it started? It started in my thoughts. I had to think about it. I had to decide in my mind that I am not gonna allow cancer to define my life. When you have a setback, you have to remember that it's one scene in your story. It is one photograph in the hundreds of photos that make up the story of who you are. Not only that, but it's temporary. So when you're deciding that you're gonna come back from a setback, first, in your mind, you gotta, okay, this is one part of my life. It's not my entire life. And there comes a point, and that time is different for everyone. You may want to be in the mud for a year. You might want to be there for 2. You might want to be there for 5. Myself, I was in the mud for at least 2 years before I decided to stand up, grab the rope, and make the decision to start pulling. That was a long process because along with the cancer, it wasn't just the surgeries and the chemotherapy and the radiation. It was the emotions that came with us. It was the depression. It was the anxiety. It was the fact that I just wasn't myself. But I'm going to tell you something, there's hope, and you don't have to stay in that place. If you come back in 2 weeks, I'm going to give you 2 more reasons for you to stand up, another reason for you to pull onto that rope, and a reason for you to gain control back in your life. Thanks so much for stopping by. This is Sunday Speaks.